Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. My guest today is Matt Akers, and on the surface, this episode is kind of a firefighter story. Different services though, different countries, aviation, rural, urban, London, New Zealand. But to be honest, underneath that, this is really a conversation about identity, resilience, and what happens when the thing you build your whole sense of self around is suddenly taken away or threatened. Matt talks honestly in our episode today about moving between fire services and countries, starting again more than once, and the mental load that comes with it. We get into the reality of emigrating for the job, what it feels like to go from experienced firefighter way back to recruit, and how different systems approach training and tactics. We also spend real time on something that doesn't really get talked about enough, and that is what happens when your health forces you to stop, forces you to reflect and rebuild, including the challenge of returning to operational duty after a pacemaker and the moment he realized counseling wasn't a weakness, it was actually a tool. This isn't a highlight reel episode. It's a thoughtful, sometimes uncomfortable, and a very human one. So if you've ever felt defined by the uniform, which I can certainly relate to, maybe questioned who you are without the job, or wondered whether it's too late to change directions, there's something in here for you. It's not motivation, certainly not for motivation's sake, but think of it more as perspective, the quiet kind that lingers after the episode finishes. I'll see you on the other side.
Hectic, but always good. It's good to be busy.
Yeah, but is it that like a reward thing that we tell ourselves sometimes when we go like, how's tricks, brother? And you go, yeah, busy. As though sometimes I think we say that because people go, yeah, good, hustle culture and, getting after it and stuff like that. I've actively tried in the past 18 months, I would say, to turn the volume down on a lot of things in my life and be more intentional about where I spend my time, because you can just become the busy fool doing figure eights, not really knowing if you're spending your time in the places where you really want to spend your time. Do you know what I mean? Are you just doing it because people think that you should? They say it's worth your while. You know what I mean? They say, oh, this would be a good opportunity for you. Is sometimes the one that it's, that it's posed as, but it's tough.
I think as well, you have a humbling moment, especially if you have children, because you're so busy at work and doing things and so on the go all the time. You catch yourself, or I catch myself, and I'm like, actually, I've only got a very finite amount of time with my daughter, and I need to check myself a little bit and recalibrate some of those values and directions. So I think
that's a really, really powerful reframing tool. And I think it's important to not lose sight of that. I remember speaking to somebody, do you mind if I've just literally just realized I've started recording it already. I never usually do this because I usually just have a chat with people first, but I'd love to use some of what we're talking about now, unless you don't want. Yeah, you happy?
No.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go back. So I think a lot of us hold happiness hostage until we reach this like horizon. I think of it like horizon happiness. Do you know what I mean? It's things that you've already, many of the things you said were going to make you happy, you've already achieved.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we are always pushing for that, like you said, that horizon, always pushing for that, the next 5 years, or, we're going to save as much money as we can, or we're going to do this, or and you actually got to really stop yourself and go, hang on a minute, something could happen, and this could be it. This could be our horizon. So we need to really, and we all love the fire service, but that will always be there when we're not. And that old adage of your kids will always remember the football games you go to, or the swimming events. They'll never remember the overtime or and we've all heard that before, and it is so true. It's
the only people that will remember you went in at the weekends and you worked late is your partner and your kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But like you say, push it to the horizon, but we do reach the thing that we said we wanted to. like the new partner that we felt lonely for so long, or the career or business goal, or firstborn child. Do you know what I mean? Or personal best in the gym, or promotion, or a trophy, or buying your first home. Try and be where your feet are. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
And I
that's a
think
balance between continuing to have that dopamine push, continuing to have desire and drive. I have a lot of those things. And part of me, I had this conversation with somebody in the gym this morning where they were talking about how happy they were where they're working. Now, I've known that, but I used to go to that gym like 14 years ago, and they were there then doing the same job, just as a personal trainer.
Yep.
And a part of me envied them because they're happy.
Yep.
Now, there's many spectrums of happiness as well, like there's content, and then there's like joy. I think I experience more joy, but don't think I experience very much contentness or like general happiness. I think that's quite difficult for me. But I do experience joy. Joy is a bit like laughter or a sneeze. Like you can't anticipate it and you almost can't build up to it. It just kind of comes upon you in moments where you recognize something. I think I get a lot of those.
Yeah.
But I think, calling myself a shark now. I think myself, when you think of a shark, like can't stay still. You know, whether that's the ADHD, whether that's the addict, whether it's whatever it is, I don't know. But like I struggle to stay still in contentness.
Oh, very, very much the same. If my wife was here, she would be, active, very much an active relaxer, always busy. Day off is trying to do 50 jobs, getting frustrated with only doing 2. And, very much the same. But I think it's just, the fire service attracts those people. Or those people kind of...
I think it does.
There's more of them, Yeah.
Those that want the highs. I think there's probably more, well, there's definitely more people with neurodivergence in the fire service. I think there's probably a lot more bipolar people that like the highs and the lows. Someone said it to me the day where they were like, the brighter the fire burns, the darker the shadow it casts. And I went, oh yeah. Because we were sort of high-fiving each other through quote porn, which, my life evolves around sometimes. I think, because they said like, what makes you want to keep doing the podcast? And I'm like, I just love it. I really love the sector. I love the people that are in it. I think I love the people more than I love the job, maybe, although the job fascinates me as well.
Yep.
And I said to them, like, you'll be astonished if you just set fire to your enthusiasm, people will come to watch you burn. And then they countered me with, yeah, but what's the flip side of that? I used to do a sunshine and shadows exercise in leadership circles where you would go like, you'd sit in the middle. I know sunshines and shadows sounds a bit wanky, but just go with it. Like you'd sit in the middle and we'd say, Matt, your confidence and ability to articulate yourself, or your resiliency and your drive, is really, really inspiring for me. That's the sunshine. However, when you are so confident and so passionate and you speak with, such great vernacular and the way you articulate yourselves in conversations, it makes me feel a bit inferior. And like, I don't want to contribute to the conversation because I don't feel like I'm at your level. Now, some people will go, well, that's a them problem. But there's a dark side to everything. Every good action you have casts a shadow. Like people might go, oh, Pete, goddamn, you go everywhere. You do all these things. You do these things. Yeah, okay. But how often am I spending time with my daughter?
Yeah.
That's something I try and be very intentional about, but there is a flip side to everything.
Yeah, and I think that if you've got a good read of the room, that you can rein in those shadows a wee bit with the way you're maybe coming across or you're presenting in a room, to not, and that's just about, I think about experience and about, realizing the company you're in. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be shooting over their heads with certain vernacular or
but you also don't want to dim yourself to like, and I know vernacular is a tough one because you don't want to be the wanky person that just uses big words for no reasons just to sort of alienate yourself from the group. That's a real douchebag move. I see it a lot.
I think if you can navigate that, that's where I think the upper echelons of people and leaders that can do that and do that really well. They're the ones you kind of want to look for and aspire to be. But yeah, you can completely walk in and just blow it all out the park. And
How did this, I'm thinking to myself as I'm talking there, like, I know we've done a weird fumble start for people that are listening, but I always say to people, great podcast for me is like you walk in a room and the conversation's already taking place. When I think back to your sort of early years, you have dyslexia.
Yes.
What did that
Yep.
teach you about fitting in, learning, how it shaped your approach to life, your sort of
Um,
lens of the world? Because whilst your obstacles don't defy you, everybody can respond to a setback. You were diagnosed when you were like 8, weren't you?
yes, yeah, very young. It was 1988, 87, 88, somewhere around about then. Um, yeah, and it was the time when it was, the kind of early mid 80s, and I remember my teacher saying, "Look, you've been statemented," which was really hard to do back then. My mum and dad kind of fought really hard with the Kent education system to get it done. And I remember her putting me aside. I was thinking about this today actually, and she said, "Look, I don't really know what dyslexia is, but we'll fumble our way through it." And I was like, "Sweet, if you don't know what it is,
I know what
there's no hope
dyslexia
for
is.
me."
I've got a friend that's a vegetarian. It's basically the same.
Yeah, exactly.
I know some
So,
lesbians. It's pretty much the same thing, right?
so yeah, it was. So back then, I learned to be quiet, hide in the shadows, not talk too much, not put my head above the parapet. At that age, I ended up going to a special school for a year, which I hated, which was horrendous. It was more like Borstal than anything else. Uh,
What sort
but
of
yeah, so
people were in a special school back then?
it
Because they
was,
just sort of lumped everybody together. And
yeah,
again, I
yeah,
say
we
all of
had,
this with respect. I have friends that have severe children with not severe, but have like really, really high level autism. And
yeah,
do you get put in the class with kids like headbutting windows and setting fire to each other, or like what was it
not
like?
that, not that bad. They were in the room next door. And we were, we were in all the other ones that were just difficult. They didn't know what was wrong with us, or they thought we were lazy. They just stuck us in this room. So in that room, you'd most probably have everyone from autism to dyslexia to in every other thing in between. And their way of
Probably loads of
teaching back then,
ADD and ADHD
yeah,
and
everything.
yeah.
Their way of teaching was literally sit down. You're going to rope learn this times table, and you're not going to get out your table until you've learned it, which is horrendous. So we got through those 12 months, and we didn't go back. But yeah, so yeah, but when it wasn't until I was kind of maybe getting slightly older, between 10, kind of 10 upwards, really, I then started to learn. And that was more about the people I had around me and some of the teachers. When I went into secondary school, some of the special teachers I had, they made me realize it's actually a superpower, and it's not an ailment or a disease or an infection. It's actually an amazing power that we have as dyslexics to be able to have this huge. We can look at things in a much wider parameter than a lot of other people. So it was then that it kind of came to the light. Actually, yes, I've got a few problems with bits and pieces, but here's some ways around it, and you're actually going to go on to do some great things. So it wasn't until kind of teenagehood that it kind of started to come about that I could actually find ways around it.
Hmm. It takes a
Yeah.
lot for parents at that age to be able to comprehend that difference for a child. Do any of your children have learning specialisms
No,
or?
no, I've only got one, a daughter. No, and that was a big fear for me. And not, it was a big fear because I had a huge amount of bullying when I was younger. And I think now teachers are more armed, better educated for teaching neurodiverse kids. So it wasn't that I wasn't worried. I was more worried about the bullying and such. So yeah, I was quite anxious to make sure she wasn't showing signs of dyslexia
Mm.
through her primary school years, and she isn't. So yeah, it's touch wood. She's quite good. She's clever
So
than me.
was she born? She was born out there with you now.
Yep. Yeah, she was
Okay.
born here. She's a true Muggle blood. So she's got me as an English dad, and my wife, her mum, is Kiwi.
So talk to me about growing up in the UK and what you have taken from living across, what is it, 3 continents now?
Well, no, two. I've travelled lots.
Yeah.
I've lived in the UK until I was like kind of early 30s, and then came over to here to New Zealand. But yeah, done quite a
You
bit of
did the
traveling in
thing.
between.
Everyone talk. How many a quid for every time someone tells you they're going to do
Mm.
that? You know what
The
I
amount
mean?
of people
Actually
down the
doing
pub,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the amount of people down the pub, like in my local pub, I think there was only one other person that went traveling. Um, so me and her would always yarn about stories, but everyone else was like, I'm sure if I walked back into that pub now, they'd still be sitting in the same seats, doing the
They
same
are.
jobs, and having a good time. But that wasn't for me at that
That
time.
often
So
happens at Christmas or something like
yeah,
that. I
go home.
will, go down with my folks, whatever, to have a drink somewhere, and you just go, oh my God, nothing's changed. Like you just rinse and repeat. And again, I say that with respect. Like there is an element of contentness that people with that choose their own life path. But I don't know if anybody's really choosing it. MSA are supporting us on today's podcast, and I chose to partner with them because I've been wearing this stuff for nearly 20 years, and they are the global leader in development, manufacture, and supply of incredible, safe products that really protect people, not just our communities out there, but also first responders, most importantly, all over the world. Get yourself over to MSA and have a look at it. The high-performance protective clothing for emergency services responders. They also partner with us on the UK Pink Firefighters. It's because we love them. The helmets with the reflective visor, the F1XF, absolutely epic helmet. And not forgetting how they improve firefighter safety through their connectivity in the connected firefighter platform. MSA are always pushing the envelope, and it's a real privilege to be able to continue to grow our partnership together. So whether it's your PPE, your bunker gear, your helmets, your SCBA, your thermal imaging, your Luna, or your portable gas detection, both of us know that this equipment needs to work. It needs to be high quality, reliable, and dependable in the moment. And that's why I use MSA, because they know what's at stake. Like how many people are in the age of, in their teens or in their early 20s are really making an informed choice? I think so when we were young, there was like limited options. You're going to be a builder, you're going to be an accountant, doctor, police, firefighter, teacher. There was like, 100 jobs you could do.
Yep.
Now, there's like a million,
Oh,
and we give children the petrifying box of freedom and go, you can be anything. We give them autonomy.
choose one.
But you don't know what you want. And then you just get paralyzed, the paralysis of analysis. You're like, you don't know what you want to do. You don't know what the right and wrong answer is. I think, there's a two-sided coin with, giving children that much freedom without any real grounding of what life looks like.
And I suppose as us as parents, we need just to guide them through that. And, like a bowling alley, and you can put the side rails up. So they're all the choices at the other end, but we've just got to put the side rails up, just give them a bit of guidance and try and clear the noise maybe for them to choose or to follow paths. Or, some people go on and they do 50 years worth of work and they bounce between jobs and they enjoy it and they love it and they move around, and that's great, and I think what we as adults have to do is not imprint our own personal values or opinions or thoughts on others, even though it doesn't fit our toy box,
Yeah, but like you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because your dad was in the British Army, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. So
And I'm very
just going back.
romantic about service people. I think there's a tremendous amount that I think we should do like mandatory service or whatever it's called, conscription. I think you not have to put everybody in the army necessarily, but I forget which country it is. I think it's Germany. I don't know. There's a country that I went to recently where the fire service people they have like 1 in every 100 people have been in the fire service or something crazy like that. And I said, well, how the hell is that? And they were like, well, they have to serve for a year or 2 years still when they're like 18 or 20 or something like this. And they don't have to do it in the military. They can choose to go and work in the health service. They can help in the police, and they can choose a lot of people choose the fire because it's well funded over there. And I forget which country this is, but you take so many wonderful lessons from it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
being in a role
yeah.
of service, communication, organization, personal disciplines. I just think there's some good human being lessons that help you operate in society and problem solve and build that own self-confidence. I think we should do that. I don't know. But tell me different, because you grew up with a military dad, so like there will have been bits of it you loved and bits you hate, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. Yeah, I think I do agree with you. I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because everyone would benefit. But yeah, I don't know. Me personally, yes, I would have loved going into some kind of service for a couple of years, whether it be the fire service, police, or the military. But yeah, my old man was a medic in the British Army. So we kind of bounced around quite a bit, lived over in Canada for a couple of years when I was real little, and then came across back to the UK. Then he came out of the army and we settled in Kent, in the southeast of England. But yeah, I don't really remember too much about him being in the army. I know I wanted to go in the army. I really wanted to go join the Royal Marines when I was like
I think we
16,
all
I
had
think it
that bit.
was.
All of us were doing like burpees and sit-ups in the
Yeah,
garden.
exactly. That was my
When it
biggest.
rained, we just put on our like grubby clothes
Yeah.
and went outside and did stuff.
I used to run around in like Gawler's old gear and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I used to.
yeah. So, and he was like, no,
It was
go
like a
get a trade
Salvation
first.
Army style thing near me, and you could go and buy like
Yeah.
pairs, how many goddamn size 12 boots there were there, and an old canvas sack, and
That's
then
it,
just
yeah.
random stuff like, I used to go out camping in the woods and just light little fires and fall out of trees with rope that wasn't strong enough to hold me. The amount of days I spent doing that, I don't know what I thought I was doing, but I spent a lot of time alone as a kid. I don't know if you did, but
the same. Yeah, I was an only kid, but yeah, it did exactly the same thing. But no, Deb was like, no, you could go get a trade first. And then it kind of got to that 19, 20 mark and thought about going in again, and then obviously found the fire service and alcohol and women. So I decided that wasn't a choice to
in
make.
that order, all in the same place, lo and behold.
Went in a different direction. But yeah, no, I wish I'd
So
gone
how
in.
did you stumble across Kent? How did you stumble across the fire and rescue service? Because you started as retained, right?
Yes, started retained when I was 19. That was 1999, way back then. And it was literally, I think my mum said, look, there's some lads, because I'd kind of gone away to boarding school for a few years, come back to Kent.
What was boarding school like?
It's good. I loved it, man. I went from a secondary school in Kent with like 1,500 people, just chaos. Then I went to a boarding school with 300 people, called a place called Brimore down in the West Country in Somerset. It's an agricultural school. Had 300 kids, and I loved it, and I excelled. And I think it was the biggest turning point, one of the biggest turning points in my life. Completely changed.
I think we should all. Thing is, I mean, it must have been very expensive for your parents to send you there. But I've had a number of friends that went to boarding school, and the daily routines, the structure, living together with friends, the weekly. I think every Wednesday night was sports night, and then every Saturday was basically like sports day. All the teams would compete on a Saturday. You build a lot of autonomy and independence because you are spending time away from parents. So you've got to get good at problem solving independently. You build a lot of resilience. I think that's one of my frustrations. And I get, my parents did provide a nice life for me. I never went to private school. But I really envy. I just think it's like a development accelerator. I just think people really, really come out of there quite proficient, honestly.
It was, and it was. I mean, it wasn't expensive because it was a state-funded boarding school. So the only thing my folks had to pay for was actual boarding. So just the upkeep, the food, everything else was paid for. So it was, an amazing. And I saw it on Newsround. I think it was like a BBC Kids thing, and I was like,
there's a throwback.
Mum, I really want to go there. Yeah. So we went down for an interview and spent 3 years down there and just loved it. Learned about agriculture, horticulture, animals, like you said, everything that you've just reeled off. Basically, it was an amazing experience. And came back to Kent. Didn't really know anyone, and then Mum was like, "Oh, there's some lads down the youth club on a Friday." Went down there, caught up with a couple of young fellas that I'm still really good friends with now. And they basically, one of them joined the fire service, retained when they were 18. And I kind of gave it a bit of a wide berth for maybe 6 months. Then I followed suit at 19 and joined. So it was kind of more following in their footsteps. And I did 9 years in Kent Fire and Rescue Service, or Kent Fire Brigade as it was then, Kent Fire and Rescue Service now. And loved it. It was great. It was a great experience. Great community vibe.
What was training like for you? looking at what you do now, because you also
Yep.
went on to work in aviation, you went on to work in the airport, you went on to
Yep.
work, different places around the world. You spent a little bit of time in London Fire Brigade. We'll come on to all of this.
Yep.
What was initial training like?
So for the retained back then, it was 6 days spread over 5 weeks. I can't remember. It was 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks. Three
What, to
three
be
weeks,
safe
like
to
2
ride?
weeks. Yeah. So it's
Six
it worked
days.
out 6 days. Yeah, Saturday,
Nice.
Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. There was some bookwork in between. Then you could get your ass on the truck. Couldn't wear BA, couldn't drive, obviously. So you could literally just run around and squirt water. Um, and then obviously you did those courses as you did your 2 week BA course, and then you did your 2 week driving as and when time allowed, basically. But yeah, it was great. We had some awesome jobs. Like some of the funkiest jobs I have had over 26 years have been in the retained fire service. There were some horrific ones that we've been to and just some out the gate ones. But yeah, so 9 years and then got into the community, obviously, and it was a small little village in Kent, like a lot of villages are. And yeah, the fire service was sort of the heartbeat, that and the football club, I suppose.
What do you
Um,
think rural stations get much better insight into versus city stations? Because people talk about city station, busy, and I've worked at both for probably decades each. And people write off rural towns and rural stations. So before I preload you with all of my thoughts and insights, like having worked at both yourself,
yeah.
steel man the argument for the different sort of incidents and experiences you'll get working on a rural station.
First of all, I think retained have a real high level of professionalism. We were very passionate about our job. We realized that we weren't as trained, but we gave it 100% in everything we did. And the jobs were so varied. Like we literally would go from getting horses out of ditches to cows to house fires. We went to a fireworks factory fire, a storage place. We went to high-speed MVAs.
Yeah.
There was a
That's
train
the big
line
one
that
for
would
me
run.
because people say,
Yeah,
like, oh, loads of RTCs in the city. I'm like, yeah, what? Cyclist versus cyclist. Do
yeah.
you know
I
what I mean?
was on
Or
a
two cars both traveling at 30 miles an hour. I'm like, out
yeah.
in
I
the
was on.
country is where everyone's got their nice vehicles because they've got bit of a bigger house and they're out
Yep,
on the motorbike and they are flying down these country roads that are not big enough for them. And when
exactly.
they crash at 70, 80 plus, and it's
Yep.
fucking carnage. The amount of freshly plowed fields I have tried to drag gear through and just been shin deep in whatever I'm shin deep in. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, they're hard graft. There's a lot of water resource. Half a mile with the light portable pump and then running out 12 lengths of hose. It's graft,
Yep.
combine
Yep.
fires, field fires, thatch. Jesus Christ, thatch fires.
Yep. Would I was on a heavy rescue, what's known as a fire rescue unit. Over here in New Zealand, we call them heavy rescue tenders in
Fire
London.
use, yeah.
And yeah, and I saw bigger accidents with more high velocity and high impact in Aldington in my retained station than I did in London for that very reason.
Loads more fatalities.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're retained, you're going to be maybe limited on some of the gear that you've got. But if you're maybe a career station with a rural backing, a rural fringe to your patch, then yeah, you're definitely going to get some great, interesting jobs. And also, what I like is that you're on your own for a while.
Yeah.
So being in the city, when I was in London and same here in Auckland, we've got 4 or 5 trucks within a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you're in the retained or you're in a rural slash, a full-time station, you could be on your own for 15, 20 minutes. So it's all you. If you don't put that out, it's gone,
Wicked. I
Yeah,
love
and
it
it definitely
because that's pure
sharpens
like
your,
graft. There's nobody else. We've
yep,
got to get it done. We've got to get
just
it
you.
done.
So it makes
Yeah.
you real sharp, really, really sharp, because you have to be, because it's just you.
I think it makes
you and
more of
your,
a safer
your
learning environment as well because you get
Yep.
there and if you're not sure what you're doing or you're not got the right information or you've parked the truck in the wrong place, then it doesn't really matter because like no one's going to be here 15 minutes. But it doesn't mean you're rubbish forever. But it means that you can have your own like private debriefs back on station, and you go, Jesus, I just think this, just think that, just see this, just see that. You know what I mean? And then so and so turned up, and then it all got a little bit better.
Yep.
But I think it like you say, it forces a lot of creative thinking because there's only 4 of you. You know, I mean, well, when I was started on my retained, sometimes you'd have to wait because retained stations, there's always 9 people trying to hang on to the back of a goddamn fire engine so everyone gets the turnout. Most of the time, just because people weren't available, we'd ride with 4. And you get somewhere. Like you say, it's going to be another 15, 20 minutes for someone else to rock up. And then when you do speak to people in London or bigger organizations and they're like, we do this, this and this, minimum of 5 trucks. And I'm like, what's everybody doing? What are the rest of them doing? Do you know what I mean? You throw enough bodies at anything, you'll probably put it out eventually.
Yeah.
You know, we remember lines of people with buckets in the Roman Empire. You just get a lot of low-skilled people. And that's not me saying big organizations are low-skilled, but it forces a steeper learning curve, I think. My personal romantic thoughts. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the on-call and retained and volunteer sectors across the world. It's they ain't doing it for money. You know, this just runs only on passion.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, it was. It was. I highly recommend those rural stations retained. You know, that community spirit. You won't match that anywhere else. I don't think you won't find it in the city. That's for sure. You find it differently, but it's not the same.
So how old were you? Because you did that for 9 years. So you'd have been 28.
Yep.
When you stopped doing that, when did you have your daughter?
Yes.
A little bit later than that, wasn't it?
Until I was early 30s. Yeah, she's only 10 now, and I'm 44, nearly 45.
And the rest.
44. Yep. Yeah, time flies.
What made you want to make that transition then? Because it was like, no, you joined the whole time while she was still on call, weren't you? You went to.
So I did 5 years. Yeah, so I was. I think it was like 8, 9 years, somewhere around about there in Kent, and then the last 5 years of that, chunk, I was career whole time at an airport in Kent again, which was just completely different because it was like a real small regional airport. So we did everything apart from checking people in. So we did baggage handling, fuel, moving planes around. We'd like move planes around the hangar, and there'd be a fire engine parked there just in case.
That's got to be so cool though. For a bit, I get anything you get bored of eventually. Yeah.
It was good fun. And I started with 3 of us, I think. And I think there was 2 watches of 6, I think, when I left. So the airport kind of grew naturally. And that was a great way of learning, because I became an officer, crew manager down there. And it was a huge learning curve in managing people and how hard, so hard it is to manage people, and to do it well takes a long time and a lot of mistakes and a lot of learning from people. So 5 years at the airport, great experience.
You trained at the college for that, didn't you? Firefighters, police officers and first responders are now stepping into environments wired with more high voltage than ever before. Everything from electric vehicles to solar panels feeding direct current through compromised structures, overhead power lines and illicit drugs factories with improvised lethal bypasses. Any single strike in the wrong place in this type of environment can turn things fatal very quickly, and that is exactly why we've partnered with Jafco. You already know who Jafco are. They have been relied upon for decades for sturdy, get-the-job-done equipment, and they are not resting on their laurels. They are evolving to face the challenges first responders are handling today through their insulated tool range. These are purpose-built for the scenarios where contact with hidden electrical hazards isn't just possible, it is increasingly likely. Their insulated tools are engineered for real-world abuse and use, designed to keep firefighters, police officers, and all first responders alive in environments where electrification is outpacing policy, equipment, and training. And you know this. This is the kind of innovation our sector needs and the kind of investment organizations should be stepping up to support if we are serious about protecting first responders from fatal consequences. So a massive thank you to Jafco for backing the podcast and backing the crews on the ground. Go check them out, learn what they're doing, and bring that conversation into your service, because this isn't about the future, it's about right now.
I changed at the International Fire Training College, which is IFTC in Teesside Airport. Okay. So you've got, in the UK, you've got the Fire Service College, which we all know and love. And then just a bit further north in Teesside, there is the aviation college, basically.
I don't think I've ever
And they
been there.
do, it's amazing.
Can't believe
It's
I
like,
don't know what that is. I must know what
it's
that
like,
is.
it's like
Anyway,
the fire service college, just condensed.
okay.
Um, and mainly around aviation, but they also do petrochemical. They've got like a huge aircraft rigs in the middle of their pads. They've got big firewalls. They do they used to do all of the training for aviation, but since then, you've got places like Gatwick and Newcastle.
hmm
So yeah, I did all my training up there basically. It's
What
doing
did aviation teach you? Because that is one of the things that not every firefighter fears, but like we've had a variety of aircraft crashes in the organization that I work for, and they're few and far between. And there's certainly the old shit moments where you go, bloody hell, what do I know about aviation? Don't stand in front of it. Is it 30 meters behind the thing you don't
what
stand?
do I
Don't go
not
near
do?
the
Yeah,
nose cone for radiation. What's aviation fuel do? It's
yeah,
worse, right?
exactly.
Do you know what I
So
mean?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, if it's off the airfield, there's not going to be a lot left of it. You can see that through just looking on YouTube. Um, if it's on the airfield, then aviation taught me to be very aggressive and to get very close. But this is back, this is way
No, it's
back
still the
then.
same. I remember when I went with Rosenbauer recently to ride
Yep.
their new electric fire engine in wherever we were. And it is just balls to the wall for like 3 minutes, 20 seconds to get to the thing and bang. It is
Yep.
just so punch, punch, punch aggression.
Yeah, we used to get some Korea guys come down at whole time, sorry. And we'd put them on a rig and you'd see them and they'd stand way back. So we as officers, we'd be like, no, come on, up you come. And then obviously, back then it was Jet A1 we were burning on the rigs. So we would get pretty much within meter and a half, maybe 2 meters. And you could see
Yeah.
them like, they'd be looking at like, they'd
Yeah.
have a huge grin on their face because
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
doctrine was obviously stand right back.
Stand way back and just throw it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just,
Whereas you
we'll just put
close
loads
them
of
down, don't you? You
exactly, yeah.
march them down. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, the aviation taught me to be very aggressive with aviation fires just because you need to get them out very quickly. But yeah, it was good. And you'd get to drive around in big trucks.
Those
And
things are
squirt lots of
sexy
water
as
from.
hell. I've
They were
predominantly
back
spent a
then.
lot
They
of
were
time in the
pretty old, but
Panthers.
yep.
But this is a thing people may not know. Like, I apologize to people who've been through this before. Most aviation firefighting is all private sector, isn't it? These are companies that own it. Now, you will get RAF bases and you will get MOD sites around the UK, but a lot of your big airports, you work for a company.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't transfer there from Kent or Warwickshire or London. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah, if you're dealing with the UK, then yes, they are all private. The US, I think some states, I think like San Francisco used to be able to transfer in there.
Okay.
But yeah, so talking about the UK, then yes, they're all private companies. Same with where I am in New Zealand, Australia, they're all under one umbrella, Aviation Air Services. So yeah, they are pretty much private entities. So they are in the UK, they're governed obviously by the CAA and ICAO, which are two organisations that basically rule the roost, a bit like the chief fire officers, I suppose.
Mm.
Yeah.
So this was the period where you started doing a lot more travel again, wasn't it? Was that with work or?
No. So basically, did retained, joined the airport. I then went through looking back, I was thinking in the shower, like, I was thinking about doing this interview and
You're thinking about me in the
quick
shower?
run through. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Always, especially with that head. No, yeah. So what happened? I went through a bit of a breakup, basically with my first wife. Yeah, it was one of those first loves, just we got married quite young, had a house, had everything, this kind of perfect kind of lifestyle. Anyway, I went through a breakup and had a bit of a rough 6 months.
Well done for only having it be 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Honestly, like I went through a divorce recently, and that stuff, I always say no one drowns falling in the river. You drown by staying in it, by not wrestling, by not fighting, by not swimming, by not trying to find a branch. But you can't just sit in that pity puddle and splash around in your own self-loathing.
And
but that's hard
exactly
to say to anyone in that moment. It's very tough talk. But I'm quite horrible to myself, I think. But that helps me move on from stuff. You know what I mean? If you want to live the best version of yourself, you've got to be very good at saying goodbye to things. Very goodbye to things, goodbye to people. These are just chapters of your life. They might not be forever.
And I didn't really get to that stage until I was very, very reliant on alcohol. And very would I say I was depressed? Most probably if I'd seen a psychologist at the time. But yeah, and because it was a small community, it was all very kind of incestuous as villages are. And basically I was...
Stereotype, we'll just plaster that one there.
Then I got a good mate of mine who we joined the fire service together, was retained. He ended up being on my watch as an airport firefighter.
Okay.
And he used to pick me up in the mornings and I'd be drunk. And he'd try and sober me up on the way into work for parade. And then I'd do parade and we'd get the day done. And I'd just manage through the day and then just get back to drinking alcohol and falling asleep on the floor. So after about 6 months of that, and I got to a point where one evening, if I decided to do something, I wouldn't have been here today. And it was most probably the lowest point I've ever been in my life. It's the only time I've ever thought about suicide and tried to act on it. So it was at that point I went, no, I've got to stop. Like you said, you only drown.
When was the first time you had a drink? What age do you think you started drinking?
Pint of Guinness. I got a scholarship to play rugby in a summer camp. It was in a pub in Maidstone, and I think I was about 15, maybe.
14,
14,
through that process, when was like that specific moment or turning point, if there was one? There often can't be, but like, when did you feel your relationship with alcohol shift?
It was definitely a healthy one growing up. Through those teenage years, early 20s, it was a typical English lifestyle. I'd be in the pub 5
It's a social lubricant. It's a natural norm. It's like the accepted drug, isn't it? But then at some point it shifts into like an escape or a numbing. Or
it wasn't until I went through it. We split up with my ex-wife. Basically, that's when it stopped the pain and the sadness to drink that much. That's when it really took a grip, I suppose. Up until then, it was social, 3 or 4 pints, just to have a drink and to get lubed up in the pub. But yeah, it wasn't till then that I realized it was like a medicine. Not a medicine, that's the wrong word, but I used it as a crutch to not face what was going on. I could drink quite a lot. And you almost get addicted to the sadness, although that sounds quite strange. And I was talking to a friend of mine recently who split up with his wife and was feeling the same thing. So I phoned him back in the UK and we had a wee chat. And he said the same thing. You kind of get addicted to being in that rut of being sad and emotional, and you can't see a way out of it, basically. And it's not until you get into that period or you've got other things to pull you out of it, then you soon realize, well, actually, there is a way out, and I just take each day by a day, and one day leads into another, and a day leads into a week, and a week into a month, and before you know it, you're on the other side of this huge emotional.
You have to get healthy in the same way you got sick. I mean, that's exactly why when some people, and I tried to steer myself when I was hearing myself ask that question, it's like, when was the moment? I'm like, there wasn't a moment. Like, sometimes I frame my recovery around when my daughter was born, which was kind of the same time, but that's not to say, the day she was born, I didn't take any drugs again. Yeah, of course I did. Of course I did. I just got better at hiding it. I became a better liar.
Yeah.
Because I just stare you straight in the face and lie at you, not even flinching. I'm very confident I could pass lie detection tests when I was back then. Because, I was working operational in the fire service, taking drugs on a daily basis.
Yep.
Lying was part of my life. But like, it's the lies we tell out. Like, what lies were you telling yourself to justify it?
I don't think I was. To
Okay.
be honest, I wasn't hiding it. I wasn't.
It was just blatant.
Yeah, it was just this overwhelming. My parents split up when I was 19, and there I was when I was 25, 26, going through the same thing. And I couldn't believe it was happening, and I couldn't see a way out. So yeah, so I wasn't hiding anything. It wasn't addiction. It was just a numbing. We just use it to numb and to stop feeling, which obviously doesn't work because you feel even more and kind of a spiral downward. But it was, yeah, I remember it quite vividly when it stopped, when I stopped having this urge to drink. And one
What
night,
replaced it? Or like what was the community or the person that helped you change that direction?
I had a really good friend. His name's Kyle, and he and his brother Matt, they both basically sat me down and said, "Look, these things are going on. You need to change what's happening because it's not working." And at that point, I kind of realized I was like, "Yep, sweet." So that was it was like a switch. It was like, sweet, house went on the market, sold the house, bought a round the world ticket, and I was gone. And I was like, I'm not. I moved out of the village I was in. I left the retained. I moved up the road to the next town. I was still at the airport at this point, kind of working through maybe the last eight months of just getting things tied up there. And then, yeah, I just left, stopped everything, and just bought a round the world ticket and said goodbye. I vanished,
To what
basically.
end? Where did you think you were going? Because some people could hear that story and think you're on a pathway to suicide. This person's
Potentially.
just selling stuff, getting rid of stuff. They're
I'd already
leaving. They're not stable.
I'd already been to that point, so I'd already knew that that was the lowest point. So I knew that everything, every day past that day, we were good. Next 24 hours, we were good. We did it. Move on to the next thing. And I would always wanted to go traveling. So I wasn't kind of using it as a crutch to run away from things. It was literally, I want to go traveling. When I come back, I will then reset. That was my mentality with it. And luckily for me, touch wood, it worked. So yeah, so then just bummed around the world for. I went across the states from New York to LA on the train, on the Amtrak train, staying at different fire stations. Had 3 weeks in Fiji, came to New Zealand. Um, I was in Nelson, which is kind of the top of the South Island, and we came down. I was traveling with a guy, who's also a firefighter on my watch, who'd gone through a breakup. And we came down one morning, and there was two big green buses. So these are big tour buses, Kiwi Experience buses. And the bus at the back had a guy standing by the door, and a bus at the front had a lady by it. And I just literally rocked up to her and I said, "Have you got space for two good-looking firefighters?" And she was like, "Hell yeah, get on, boys."
How
And
do you know you're around a firefighter? Don't worry,
yeah,
they'll tell you.
we'll tell you. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and yeah, that was it really. And my life kind of changed dramatically from there on in.
We've got to unpick some of that. So, traveling across the states, you'd been in the UK, you'd been on call, you'd been retained. You said you dropped off at a few fire stations. Like,
Yep.
I think of the mind like a balloon. Once you inflate it, it'll never go back to the same size again. And it wasn't until 15 years into my career when I really started, just like visiting other organizations in the UK. Well, I'd done a little bit before on courses, but like really going there independently
Yep.
and then starting to travel around the world. And you go, oh, that's just one version of life
Yes.
that I was
Yep.
living before. There is so many variations of that. And even in the fire service, like
Yep.
so many variations of the fire service. Like, what did that experience, and I don't know, what did that experience teach you? Sounds a bit like a big wanky question you're going to give some big utopian answer to. But I'm like, there must have been moments across that where you're like, wow. Quick pause, because I want to tell you about a new partnership we have with First Tactical. First Tactical builds equipment for people who work when environments are seriously unforgiving. And if you go to their website, you'll find kit is designed specifically for us, for firefighters, for police officers, technical rescue teams, fire investigation, hazmat, hazardous materials teams, urban search and rescue. This is honestly the equipment that you really want to rely on. It's built for real operations, real pressure, long ass days, and I genuinely use this stuff. Here's a few of my favorites. They've got their men's Defender short sleeve. I've got that in black. It's got a huge load of specialized pockets, space for all of our gears, the pads, the pens, all of the stuff. It's got them on the sleeves on both sides. Also got the Defender pants. These have got 28 pockets in total on them. It's mad. Let's be honest, we absolutely love the bags. I use their 25-litre specialist half-day backpack. The shoulder straps as well are strong AF. Like I say, this isn't lifestyle gear. It's built for real world, real operations. We talk about the realities of the job, and First Tactical is just the ideal partnership for us. So go take a look, firsttactical.co.uk. Now back to the show.
It was, because at that point, I'd only been retained and in the aviation. So I hadn't been in the whole time in the county brigade or in London. So my experience was only in that framework. So going to those New York fire stations, it was like a kid in a candy shop. I was like, this is amazing. Like, you guys are top of the food chain. The procedures, I understood. It wasn't until I worked in a big city that I can then kind of compare the two, I suppose. But it was great just to talk to people and just to realize that they have the same problems that we do. They have the same problems with morale sometimes and equipment and bits and pieces, but the passion.
Their equipment and rigs are so old. Is one of my observations.
Yes and no.
Depends where
you're
obviously.
looking. Yeah. We went to a volunteer station, which was bigger than any whole-time station I've ever been. It was, the trucks were so new and so shiny. They had everything you could ever imagine. They had rescue tenders, pumps, they had tankers, they had aerials, they had dormitories. This place was huge. And I was like, are you all volunteers? And they were like, yep. Wow, this is just stunning.
I went to a place in Germany where they had 9 bays and they were all volunteers. 9 bays.
It's amazing, hey? But yeah.
I was like, what?
But the passion and the enthusiasm for the job never changes, really. The characters, the funny people you meet, they're all exactly the same, but they've just got different stories with different accents. And it was amazing. And I would encourage anyone to just, go and have a look and have a chat with people. You know, it's always a bit funny, you know, when you get on the knock on the door at the station, it's like someone wants to come and say hello. And you're like, oh, I'm just going to go and have a cup of tea. But as soon as you open the door and start talking to people, it's the best.
I imagine that's on a whole nother level in places like New York, though, because in the organisation where I live, like someone comes and knocks on the door, they're probably from the local village, which is fine, and they're interested in the fire service. But you don't get someone knocking on the door very often who hey, I'm from Fiji, I'm from Canada, I'm from America. You're like, what the hell? Do you know what I mean? Then, they join you for lunch and you spend all afternoon with them. Do you know what I mean?
The amazing thing I found about America is, when I was sat down with my travel agent, she was like, right, you're going to go here and here. At the time, you think you are Christopher Columbus. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to experience the world. You soon realize that there are thousands of people doing the same route that you're doing. So she said, you're right, we're going to go start in America and we're going to go there and come out there and go here. And I was like, I don't really want to go to America. Like, every American I've spoken to are brash, they're loud, they're over the top, they're not English, they're not polite. You know, they're not polite, but they're not stoic like English people.
Yeah.
That changed as soon as I landed. It was the most humblest, welcoming, warmest, friendliest, giving people I've ever met.
Nice.
It was stunning. We had some guy give us a laptop at one point. We had a lady take us in and take us NASCAR racing and bass fishing. We had fire stations opening up their doors. It was just unbelievable. It was
surreal.
An amazing change of mindset. So,
what was Fiji like?
Good.
I've never been to Fiji. It's on my list. Oh, have you? Me and my missus on the go.
It's only 3 hours north. So
it is for you now. It's a long ass way.
We go there as like a holiday, a summer holiday, basically. Yeah, Fiji's awesome. I think it's like 600 islands, 300-ish or 250 are habitable. People are beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. Great with kids. It's that typical white sandy beach, atoll, warm water.
It looks so picturesque.
It is stunning, yeah. I mean, all the Pacific Islands are amazing. And we're quite lucky that they're on our back doorstep now. So, yeah, highly recommend coming over this way.
So when you landed in New Zealand, what made you hang around for a while and obviously go back?
Well, I only hang around for a month.
Okay.
Because that was all my ticket was. So, yeah, got on the Kiwi Experience bus, travelled around, met Ginny and Nelson, travelled down to Queenstown with her. And we were going to stay, but we had to get chest x-rays and visas. And it was really hard to do in the country. So we were like, look, we'll go and come back. So we hot-footed to Australia. We'd run out of money by this point. We'd spent all our money in Queenstown, bungee jumping and skydiving. And then did 9 days in Australia. It was meant to be 4 months. Did 9 days and then went to Southeast Asia. Did 3 weeks there. And it was then when I was in...
So you two are now in a relationship at this point?
No, not at all. No. We hang out for like 4 or 5 days down to Queenstown, and that was it. And that was the last we spoke to each other, really. And then I was in Bangkok. I got to an internet cafe. This is before Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
This is MSN.
And, yeah, I know. Yeah, they're chat rooms in Yahoo.
Yeah.
And I emailed London Fire Brigade because I'd already put my application in. My application from application to course was 3 years for London Fire Brigade.
Jesus.
And I'd done everything before I left. So all my testing I'd done. So I emailed them and said, look, have you got a job for me? Because I'm going to go back to New Zealand if not. And they said, oh, yeah, sorry, we forgot to email you. You start in October. And this was January. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll come back to the UK. So flew back to the UK and just cut grass and did garden work basically for a few months, and then went into the London Fire Brigade. And it wasn't until maybe a year later, Jenny emailed me and said, hey, I'm going to come and do my OE, which is overseas experience. So that a lot of New Zealanders, when they get to between 19 and 27, I suppose, will do a thing called an OE where they'll just go away for a year and travel.
She's younger than you then?
Oh, same age, exactly the same age.
All right.
So I said, look, sweet, I work in London. I know a minuscule amount of it. I'll show you around. So she came over and she never left. Well, she did. She left with me 3 years later when we moved back. So
took you back.
Yeah. So, but no, went into the London Fire Brigade at that point.
What was it like, John, in London?
Not like London's Burning, which I'd watched from a young kid.
You went to some good stations, though. You were stationed at Battersea for a while. I like that station.
I was, yeah. My first station was Knightsbridge on the Greenwatch, and then popped down the road to Chelsea on the King's Road with the Mighty White Watch, and then hopped over the river to Battersea Blue, which was, amazing stations. Very lucky and privileged to be at them. Battersea was definitely a good one. It was so Chelsea and Battersea both had an FRU, which is a fire rescue unit. So for those that don't know, in London you've got pumps. You've got 2 pumps, a pump and a pump ladder. Only difference is one's got a 13-meter ladder on it. The other one's got a 7-meter ladder on it, I think. And then they've got rescue tenders, which back then they had 5 on. I think they still have 5. So the rescue tenders had no water or heavy extrication equipment. Swiftwater rescue, line rescue. Some had hazmat, some didn't.
That's the thing with so many stations and so many trucks. I don't know what it's like in different countries, but London especially, they spread out their skill sets quite a lot. Like the base level firefighter in a rural brigade has to learn everything. So they learn slightly more technical rescue elements and maybe a bit of rope rescue, maybe a bit of water rescue. They'll certainly learn all the extrication techniques. But in London, having assessed a number of their firefighters when they come to the end of their apprenticeships, like they don't, not saying they don't know anything, but like they don't learn as much. They don't have to learn as much to become competent.
Yeah. So my course was 15 weeks. And at the end of that, we couldn't use extrication equipment. We had a combi tool to pop a door, or that's about it, really.
Yeah, exactly.
But the way London's set up is that there are 12. Again, this is back then, so please don't quote me now. It's obviously, it was a long time ago. There were 12 FRUs dotted around the city, and they would come along and extricate. So we would go along and stabilize the car.
Yeah.
Maybe make patient access for first aid. They would come and extricate.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think that is still the case, you know. I genuinely think that's still the case.
I think it is, yeah. From what I can, a few friends I've still got in the
Don't
fire
know
service
why.
are still the same.
Anyway,
I think
it doesn't matter.
because they can, and I think being on an FIU, so being on a rescue tender with a pump, it allowed you to become, I feel, more highly skilled in those skill sets because you
but I don't know why you
running
wouldn't just teach every firefighter it. It's not massively complex stuff, extrication techniques. You know, they're not.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a numbers game. You know, when I was there was 6,000 staff.
Still is, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I liked that model. I liked it being that we could, you know, on a day shift, if you're on the rescue tender, you could go and hang off the building or cut cars up, and that you weren't interrupted with PFA or what do you call them, AFAs.
AFAs, yeah.
All your little bits and pieces. You know, you could really concentrate on that skill set, which I quite liked. So yeah, so
let's have a look at their numbers. So they've got 32 boroughs, 100 stations, all whole-time staff 24/7. They've got 5,000 personnel now, so it states.
Yeah.
And the FRUs, yeah, they still support the technical rescue operations. Yeah, all the heavy lifting, heavy rescue. They've got FRUs at Chelsea, East Ham, Paddington, Poplar, West Hampstead, Shoreditch, and Wimbledon. Yeah, so they only have FRUs at, what's that, 7 or 8 stations? This might be complete bullshit, but this is where I'm drawing my information from at the minute. Yeah, that's because they, like you said, they do the line rescue, the CBR, and the water rescue, trauma care. Some do a little bit of USAR.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they don't spread those skills out more. But anyway, total digress. What was it like having had already aviation experience, having traveled around the world, having trained up in Kent? Did any of that get recognised rejoining a service? You didn't want to feel like the dick who was like, in Kent, what we used to do was, nobody likes that guy. You know what I mean?
No. I think that was when I started to learn to keep my mouth shut. And
how did you learn that? Because I'm struggling with it.
You get told pretty quickly. No, I don't. No, I wasn't joking. It was just I knew going in that I'd been around people like that before. I knew how irritating it was. So I knew kind of. I've over my career, I've really enjoyed working with really bad people. I've enjoyed working with really bad leaders, really bad firefighters.
You learn more from them, don't you?
Exactly. You learn not to be anything like them. So I was kind of been around a few of those individuals through my early years, and I was like, right, so I'm not going to do that. So I literally went in, I gave my experience when asked and when it was at the right time, which is hard to do. And that's a very hard soft skill to learn. So that's when I kind of started to learn, okay, just be quiet, just, you know, keep your experience to yourself to a point. And you're lucky I had a watch manager there that knew my previous and kind of helped me scooch my
development along.
Get
competent pay a bit quicker.
Get my diamonds off a bit quicker and whatnot. So, and
I love what you say there, like that sort of reverse engineering of the type of firefighter, type of leader you want to be is actually a really good framework, I think. Like when you say to someone like, what sort of leader do you want to be, or what sort of father do you want to be, or what sort of person do you want to be, what sort of firefighter do you want to be, it's easier to ask, what do you not want to be?
Exactly, yep.
And then you just reverse engineer it from there. You know, I don't want to be someone that belittles people. I don't want to be someone that's annoying to everyone. I don't want to be someone that is deemed incompetent or the fat person, the useless person on the watch. And then if the flip side of that aids what you want to be.
Yeah, and sometimes you only know that through experience, through moving around stations, moving around watches, getting under those really annoying people and being like, okay, you're not what I want to base myself on. So
well, back to our daughters as well. Like when you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Easier question. What do you not want to do?
Yeah.
What do you not want to do? Look at all the jobs where you go, oh my God, I can't believe so-and-so's mum does this, or so-and-so dad does that, or this seems boring, or that seems boring. Because if you ask them, what do you want to do? It's like, well, again, it's back to the million options question.
Exactly.
It's like, what do you not want to do? And then you're right, get a lot of part-time jobs, lick everything in the fridge, see what you're like. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. So no, it was, that was where I learned kind of just to, As the again old adage, you got two ears and one mouth. Use them in the same principle. So
Yeah.
literally just listened and learned from my peers and from some very experienced firefighters. And yeah, I was just a sponge really, and I learned to be the eternal recruit, which I think I've been throughout my whole career. Yeah, and it was a great experience, and I wouldn't change. If I was still in the UK, I would still be in London potentially. The commute was kind of getting on my nerves a wee bit, 2 hours in, 2 hours out. But
You still live in Kent then, as you go back to that
yes,
area?
yeah,
Or
yeah. I was in Tunbridge Wells at that point, and yeah, the commute was horrendous. But we had a big watch of 12, 13. We had a USAR element to Battersea. So we had great people on the watch, some real characters. It was a lot of people when I moved over to New Zealand and came into the fire service here, and a lot of people ask me, even now today, is it the same? Is it similar? And it is. But when I was in London, it was, you go to work, and I think it was because it was working in a big city, but it would feel like electricity. And that sounds a bit weird and a bit touchy-feely, but because you never knew what you were going to go to. I mean, I know we as firefighters never know what we're going to go to wherever you are in the world, but in a big city, it's like an added edge to going to work because you don't know if someone's going to blow something up. You don't know if someone's going to stab someone, or there's going to be a terrorist event, or there's going to be a collapse.
There's every nationality, there's every piece of technology, there's every kind of business, and all of the people in all of those things are at the highest level of what they're doing because it is.
And you're all confined to one place. So there was, I mean, I'm sure people in Manchester would be exactly the same. Birmingham, in these big metropolitan cities, would still feel the same thing. It's like or not on edge, but there's just kind of a little bit. I can only say it as it feels a little bit electrifying and exciting. I was so excited to go to work. Like I'd never.
Well, I think that just in general, visiting the city, there's like a hum. There's a low-level buzz to it. It's not. I know it's not known as the city that never sleeps, but most capital cities are like that. 24/7, there is something happening.
Definitely.
All the time.
So, no, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the guy I spoke to about, Carl, he joined the fire service at the same time. He went from retained into the career service whole time in Kent. And our careers have basically done this. Mine's obviously done a bit of that, but his, we've kind of stayed very, very, very linear. And he used to have the same thing, the same experiences. Mine have been slightly different because it's been in a big city, but yeah, it was amazing. And it was a great opportunity to go and work in such a beautiful city.
So why'd you go? You were there for like 3 stations, 3 years or whatever it was. I'm like,
that was so funny. My governor, he, I've got I can count the leaders, the people that I would follow into war, and he is one of them. Amazing man. He's now retired.
Let's call him out. Who was it?
His name was David Waterman. He was an outstanding. I mean, we've all got our faults, but when it comes to the fire service, I'd follow him into war any day. He sat across his desk. I remember I wrote up my resignation letter, had it for about a week, and he knew it was coming. Everyone knew it was coming because I wouldn't shut up about moving to New Zealand.
He's in love. He's in love.
Yeah,
he's following Ginny back there.
Yeah, and I walked into the office, sat down. I was like, "Morning, Gov." He was like, "Yeah." I said, "I've got this for you," and slid it across the desk. And he looked at it. He said, "What's that?" And I said, "That's my resignation." He said, "I'm going to give you 24 hours. And are you really going to give up the best job in the world for a woman?" And I said, "Yes. You don't need to give me 24 hours, but there's my letter." And he was like, "Are you absolutely sure?" He was like, "You've tried so hard to get in here." I think it was like 3 or 4 goes to get into London.
Okay.
And I was like, "Yes, I am. I'm going to resign." He was like, "Okay."
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. But here's the honest truth. It takes a colossal amount of time and work to keep the podcast going. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. Now, if you've ever wanted to meet a member of the podcast, buy us a beer, buy us a coffee, and you think anything you've ever listened to on the podcast has been worth £3, that's basically what we're asking you for. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, instant debriefs, and so much more. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes. So you weren't going to transfer? Did you get a job lined up?
No. Just literally.
Hey, the balls. The absolute balls of you.
Cut the purse strings and left. And we were renting at the time, so we got rid of everything out of the house. I think we left with 2 backpacks. And there were some 3 boxes, big cardboard boxes that went in a container. And that was all we had. We did Southeast Asia for 2 months before we landed in New Zealand. And it was only then that I'd emailed New Zealand Fire Service and said, would you be interested in another POM, another English person coming over? And they said, yeah, but you'd have to go through recruitment. So touch base when you get here. I was like, okay, sweet. So did Southeast Asia, came back to New Zealand, lived with the in-laws, my in-laws' house. We were there for 6 months. And as soon as I got here, I was emailed to Fettons, the fire service. And they said, come through recruitment. We'll see how you go through recruitment. And that was it. So back then it was a 3-hour written exam, maths,
Jesus.
English, and then spatial awareness. Failed miserably on the maths test. I didn't go into it too confidently. I just didn't do enough, didn't prepare enough. So rightly so, failed. And then just turned around to the airport and I was like, have you got a job that you might give someone? And then luckily, went through their recruitment round. And I worked for them for 8 years at Auckland Airport, International Airport down here in the city.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been...
had to do another recruit course, which was 16 weeks, I think. Do it all again, get told how to roll up hose, get told how to enter a compartment with a hose. That was a bit different because we had co-responding.
Okay.
And we had marine rescue. So we had 2 hovercrafts, 2 boats.
I was going to say, you have hovercrafts, you have the maritime search and rescue operations.
Yep.
That must have been, again, just another thing that you'd never experienced in the UK. Although I know London have boats, but I think it's only 3, isn't it? It might be 2, I think.
It was amazing. Yeah, so to get the opportunity to go and pilot a hovercraft was, so it's on the bucket list. It was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. And it was good. It was a great environment. Had 8 years there. Amazing. Had 13 on the watch. I managed to make it to the dizzy heights of I took a 6-month secondment as a deputy crew chief. So that's what that'd be in English terms? That'd be like a watch manager, I suppose. Maybe a crew manager, watch manager.
Senior firefighter.
Yeah, I was a senior firefighter with a station officer rank, so I acted up for 6 months, basically. It was great. Yeah, great. Busy little airport. And then I think it was at the height of COVID. COVID hit and the whole aviation, the whole world stopped, obviously, as we all know about. And aviation was just a weird space to be in.
I'll bet.
So at that point, every year up until then, I'd said to my missus, I want to go back to the fire service. Like, the airport's good. I love the people I'm working with, but I want to go back. And she's like, oh, but you're making good money. We've just had a baby. We've just bought a house. We've just done this.
Yeah, there's the pay cut factor, isn't there?
So during COVID, my missus got made redundant. I took a 60 grand pay cut. I think we dropped I think we took 120 grand out of our salary. And I went into the fire service as a brand new recruit again at 40. So that really tested our marriage.
You must be quite financially, even though some of these things first sound like financial suicide to people, like You must have gotten very, very good at understanding what essentials are in life over
That point, yeah.
across all of your stuff.
Yeah.
Having the audacity to go, well, I've got $2,000, that will do me for X. I'll be fine for a while.
Yeah. We growing up, we never
That's a
had money.
totally different mindset, mate. I think that's so rare.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, growing up, we never had really any money. Both my parents worked hard. Um, Never went on holiday. Um, Never really wanted for anything,
Mm-hmm.
And then so that kind of my parents brought me up to realize that money doesn't really mean that much in the holistic sense. Yes, it makes life easy and it gives you more options sometimes, but it isn't everything. You can survive without money. You can survive with good friends and good family. You'll be perfectly fine. And so that's, fortunately, I've been able to, or my wife might disagree sometimes when I want to change jobs, but yeah, as long as in my head, as long as I've got a roof over my head, I can put food on the table, we're good.
Mm.
We don't need a flash car, nice clothes, a holiday every year, new things in your house. And that's what I love about New Zealand is there is not that social pressure to be.
The class system where we're
No,
trying to keep
no,
up with the Joneses, yeah.
exactly, yeah. So we didn't have any of that pressure. So yeah, I've been very fortunate and had a very supportive wife to.
Understanding, patient.
Very patient to be able to make those jumps and to start my career 4 times now. So yeah.
When did you
So yeah,
have your health scare? That would have been recently, right? A couple of years ago?
yeah, that was a year recently. It was October, it was about 16 months ago, I think, something like that. Yeah. So that came
So up until
completely
this
out of the
point,
blue.
had you not had any big physical setbacks? No big
No,
injuries,
no,
surgeries?
no, I was a weapon of a man. No, I'm joking.
Awesome.
No, I've been pretty healthy, had, ACL replacements and bits and pieces as you do playing rugby, but no, it just came out of the blue, like literally like a sledgehammer. I was so at this point I'd left the airport fire service and I'd joined the fire service here in New Zealand, and we literally had gone to gymnastics in the morning. I was just at the sink and I basically had a dramatic faint over the sink, and my wife caught me, sat me down, and I didn't lose consciousness as in like slump on the floor, but definitely wasn't there. And she started to get quite panicky and did a basic fast test for a stroke, and that was all passed, but I had no real memory loss and I couldn't remember my birthday and bits like that. And after about 10 minutes, I kind of came round and had that very familiar argument you had with your wife. You're going to hospital, you're not going to hospital. You're going to hospital, I don't want to go to hospital.
I've had that a few times.
Yes, yeah. So she won. We went to hospital. They rushed me straight in. And again, I was just like, look, I've just fainted. I've just come off a night shift. It's been really busy. So they said, look, we'll keep you in overnight. See how you go. If you're all good, we'll go home in the morning. I was like, sweet. Went upstairs to the cardiology unit and they said, right, in the morning, we're going to take you down for an x-ray just to make sure there's nothing too funky going on. Had the x-ray, came back up, and I was on an ECG, like a 12-lead ECG.
Echocardiograph, whatever they are.
That's the one. And then remember standing on the edge of my bed, and then I remember waking up on my bed, and I was like, oh, that didn't feel like a nap. I called the nurse and said, oh, I think I've just had another bit of a dramatic faint again. I do apologise. She said, okay, sweet, I'll just go and have a look at your computer. So she went off. Comes back round a little bit flustered and said, oh, your heart stopped twice. Once for 5 seconds and then once for 7 seconds.
Awesome.
I think you might be staying longer. I was like, oh, okay, right. I don't know how I'm going to tell my boss.
What was going through your head at this point? Was it frustration? Was it denial? Was it, I haven't got time for this shit?
Panic. I'm not going to lie. It was just a pure moment of my body is trying to stop. And I knew from the training we had at the airport, the medical training, I knew what was going on. I knew the risks that were involved. I think they made it worse. So it was just sheer right. Everything, it was like, when you turn up to a big job and it's like hissing and everything's going on and all of a sudden everything just slows down. It's like, whoa. And you kind of see the moves you've got to make, what's going on in front of you, and it happens and it kind of speeds up, and then you come back into the room. It was like that, but all my life just stopped, and I was like, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my wife. She's not going to want to be with me because I'm not going to be a firefighter anymore. Die. So yeah, it just kind of like had this cold flush of panic. And then, yeah, long story short, ended up a week later, had all the exams under the sun, and the doc walks in and says, yeah, we're going to put a pacemaker in. As cold as that. Yeah.
Pacemaker feels like something old people have, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like
in
I'm
the video,
80 and I can't really do anything.
Yeah, the video that they wheel in and play to you, they're all 70 or 80-year-olds.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you can still go and play golf on a
Yeah.
Saturday with Janice.
Janice was struggling to get out of the house until she had her pacemaker. Now she's visiting her friends down the hallway and she goes and plays, pickleball and crochets on a Tuesday. She's got her life back. And you're like, bitch, I'm a firefighter.
Yeah, at the time my station had moved into another station, and the station we'd moved into was the busiest station in the country. So I was like, you're joking. Like, we're like real busy, and, I've got so much going on. I'm not old. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, I ended up with a pacemaker, and I have got a pacemaker. So that got put in, and then it was just like
what did work have to say about it?
They were so good. So good. Like, I can't fault them in any way, the way they handled
I've never come across that before. I didn't know if you could remain operational with it.
Yeah, nor did I. So yes, there was a huge panic. My immediate watch was great. My immediate boss was great. Just don't worry about anything. Just sort yourself out. We'll deal with it later. And then the big machine starts turning, and they were just so good. They were like, look, you've still got your job. Don't panic. Just get better. When you're better, we'll talk. So that kind of lifted that weight off my shoulders. I knew that I was still going to get paid a mortgage. My mortgage was still going to get paid. So then it allowed me to recover, and both physically and mentally, and the mental side of things was way harder than the physical. So the physical was easy because I'd done it before. I'd torn my ACL, and the doc was like, you're never going to join the fire service with a torn ACL, and you're never going to do this, and you're never going to do that, through different medical things. So I was like, yeah, I can. I knew how to bring my body back into it, train. I knew that was good. The mental side of things was completely different, and that's what threw me completely sideways. And that was a big because it was weird, because I knew that I'd been through sadness, and I knew what that felt like, and this didn't feel like that. So I was like, sweet, I know that I can deal with that, so it's not that. Now it was like my identity was robbed. I'd had 20 odd years of being a firefighter, and all I ever knew was doing this job. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I mean, yeah, I could do something else. Would I enjoy it as much? Maybe not. And it kind of spiraled out of control, and I got to the point where my wife was like, you need to go do something, see something, because this is not you. You're so angry all the time, crying emotionally. I was walking the dog, just constantly crying. It was it's something I've never been
crying
through
about
before. Everything. It just this sadness, and not sadness, but there's this worry of not being good enough, or being a liability, having people look at me sideways over a mess table thinking, are you going to fall over? Are you going to be able to pull me out of the house? Are you going to be able to do this? Are you going to be able to do your job? Is my wife going to look at me and go, well, now you're not a firefighter anymore. I don't really love you.
You don't want people to pity you, do you?
No, exactly. So
nobody wants that.
And I didn't know a way out. I couldn't see a way out. And it got to the point where I ended up throwing something across the kitchen one day. Luckily, I was not in the house. And I picked up the phone and I phoned work and I said, I need help. And it was at that point that they said, sweet, got in touch with a counsellor, went and saw a counsellor, and it was, I don't know if you've had glasses. Like I just recently
I wear glasses. Yeah.
got to now wear a pair of glasses because I'm getting older. You know, that first time you put them on and all of a sudden you can see clearly and your eyes relax and it's like, oh.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, this is what people supposed to be able to see.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
I thought I was a hawk when the first time I put my goddamn glasses on. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I've only
Okay,
picked these
I
up
can
this
see.
morning and I put them on and I was like, everything's in HD.
Yeah.
But going back to counselling, that was what it was like when I went and saw the counsellor. It was like, oh my God, it's all coming off. Like all this weight and emotion. It was, I just spent 6 sessions crying on this poor woman's couch. I don't think she only said like 4 words, I think, in the whole hour, and it was just me blubbering mess. But what she did say and what she did do was so beneficial that it allowed me to regain that mental stability, I suppose, and structure. That as soon as I did that, it was like I fast forwarded again back into reality, and I was like, right, sweet. I've been working my body. My health is not fixed, but we're getting there. And then work came into play. And then it was like, right, sweet, we're going to do these tests, this, and this. Yep, you're all good to go. Off you go, back to work. And it was as simple. It wasn't as simple as that, but it was as gentle as that, basically. So we did all the tests with the BA sets because we got Draeger telemetry sets. We did the tests with radios to make sure it didn't interfere. The brigade doctor was happy. My cardiologist was happy. Yeah, and it was after 6 months I was back to work. No, 8 months. 6 months I was back on light duties, and then I think it's about 8 months I was back to sitting on the back of a fire engine.
Jesus Christ, brother.
Yep.
That's crazy. You've had
so,
a jam. I was thinking of you when I was reading some of your stuff, before coming on and having a conversation with you. I try not to idolize people or blow smoke up their ass or anything like that, but trying to fit more than one life into one. Do you know what I mean? I think of all of the careers you've had. I don't know, you'll argue it's one career, but like the variation and the experiences that you've had, that is like, I always freaking say this to people all the time. Like, we don't want to live longer. We want more experiences. People think you want to live longer because you think living longer obviously gives you more experiences. But I know people that live 60, 70 years. You'll know them as well. We spoke about them, about the people in the pub. They're just doing the same shit. It's just rinse and repeat.
yeah.
You don't want that. You want more experiences. So you've got to be so intentional with with your money, but you can always earn more money. You can't get the time back. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be good at saying goodbye, good at moving on, and good at being where your feet are when you're there. So you fully experience it and then go and have another adventure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that definitely helped and that worked. And, I've managed to do what I've done and to be where I am now, I suppose. It's not for everyone. I know people, I've got good mates of mine. They're like, there is no way I'm going to move outside of this pub, outside of this village. This is what I know. This is what I love. I'm comfortable. And I'm like, dude, that's fine.
That's great.
For you, that's fine. Not for me. I, got itchy feet. But for me, it's worked wonders. And I now live on the underside of the world in paradise. Well, I think it's paradise.
I think that the only fault we make is when we impose those non-negotiables on other people as though it is an assumed template for life that everybody, but people often laugh. Like, here's one for you. People laugh because you're different. I laugh because a lot of people are all the same. Do you know what I mean? And I just think, what are you doing? You're working hard to impress a person that you don't like around a bunch of other people that wouldn't care if you died tomorrow. What are you doing?
And if you talk to my friends back, just on what you were saying there, if you talk to them when I was 18, 19, early 20s, they would say that I was immensely immersed within the fire service. It was all I could live and breathe. I'd read manuals. I would get these brigade things would come out every couple of weeks, and I'd be like all over them, and I'd be researching and studying, and I'd be so into it. And that hasn't changed. I still read an immense amount of documents, but I now have a bit more context. I now have a bit more.
Yeah.
It's almost like I've stuck my head up and gone, okay, that's good. It's not forever. And I now can see that there is more meaning past the horizon of work. This is what I'm talking about. Now, I've met people that have been in the job for 50 years. I know someone who is in their, very late senior life, still in the fire service, still loving it, still charging pretty hard, and would put a lot of youngsters to shame. But for me, I know that there is a point that I will say goodbye to this job I love, and then I will go on with my family and have an amazing time. And it kind of gave me a bit more clarity on that transition, I suppose. And a little bit more grounding to go, okay, this is a job. I love my job and I'm very passionate, and I will be passionate to a point. After that point, no more, I shut the door.
Fire service is a black hole in that respect. Like we said to people, like, you can't complete firefighting. You can't fill up the cup.
It will take everything from
firefighting. It will take everything from you if you let it. Yeah. It is a 24-hour service, and you can never do enough for the community, for the service. There's always another fire. There's always a job you didn't go to, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be able to separate yourself from that FOMO, which I think is harder now than ever with social media and everything like that. Yeah. But that's something I feel like I'm really getting a lot better at. I know it's not for me to say, but like my missus said it the other night when she has access to some of the social media platforms that we operate on as well. And just for clarity, we don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. But the thing is about the people that do listen to this thing or do know me, they're probably somebody I've met at some point in time, or they know a lot about the stuff that we do because it's a very niche thing that we do. So we get a lot of inbound. We get a lot of emails, a lot of messages, a lot of stories, people telling us their story and how they're related to Matt's story or whatever.
Yeah.
And they go unread. Hundreds of them. Not forever, but like, if I looked at my WhatsApp or whatever now, there's hundreds of things. And I'm like, if it's really important, you'll ring me. If you don't have my number, that's because we don't know each other that well. That's okay. It doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I love people and I love the support and I love all that sort of stuff. But the more you do that, the more it takes you away from where you are. And it goes back to what we were saying before, like, be where your feet are. The people that do love you, your family, my daughter, close friends, they're the people that are going to fill your cup up. So spend more time with them. And it's okay if stuff goes in red. Don't worry about it.
And they will be there at your retirement. And they will be there after your retirement. Because I've met, and I'm sure you have, and I'm sure we all have over the years, met lovely people where they've given their whole life, quite often partners, many partners through their career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They get to retirement and they're gone. The next shift, there is someone in their seat to replace them, and they're gone. And it's not being rude. It's just that's the job we're in, and there needs to be someone to take their place. Within a few weeks, they're not talked about around the mess table anymore because it moves on. It's such a juggernaut of a machine. And then when you start to realize that, you're like, oh, actually, what am I? What's above that horizon? What's beyond that point? Who am I around? How many bridges have I burnt because of this? Do I have a wife or a husband or a good relationship with my children? Because I've seen it so much. And I think maybe it's because I'm getting older. You kind of have that mortality kind of feel to it. But it's like all of a sudden you're like, it is a job and we need to keep it in perspective as a job. Keep the passion going. Mm-hmm. It's still a job. There is life after this. And we need to prepare for that as we move through.
You've got to really guard
careers.
that. Someone said it to me the other day when I was getting a little bit burnt out responding to a load of people and a load of stuff. Someone said, don't be the go-to person for people that you can't go to. And I was like, oh, I'm going to remember that because that is the amount of people that reach out and go, oh, you know this person or you know that person, or can you help me with this, or I'm really struggling with this. And like, they're not, I've got surgery on Monday on my legs. and a little bit nervous about it. Got to go under a general anesthetic again, which doesn't always agree with me very well.
Yeah.
And
what size are your
don't really
boots?
tell anybody about it. This will go out weeks after. It'd be funny if I die. If I die, by the way, your episode won't go out, probably. Just sorry.
Thanks.
Sucks to be
What
you.
size are your shoes again?
It will sit in the ether. Or? You can have more. I'll tell my missus. stick the size 12 aside. Matt will have them. We'll come pick them up some point in time. But yeah, someone else will get the locker. Someone else will get the stuff. I always think of as like adults building sandcastles. Because when you were a kid, you went to the beach, you built a sandcastle. You knew in an hour or two or less it was going to be gone anyway, and no one ever knew it was there. All of the things that I've bought, that I have invested time in, it's not going to, I mean, the podcast stuff will live on the internet until the internet explodes. But other than that, we're just adults building sandcastles. Yeah. If I abandoned my house tomorrow, within what? Couple of years, the earth will have retaken it. Do you know what I mean? All of the stuff that you hold so precious, other than the people, all of the stuff, it was someone else's 50 years ago, and it'll be someone else's in 20 years. Yeah. We're just here. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. So spend it with people, not things.
Exactly. And it is a privilege to do this job. And, I feel proud to do it and to say that I'm a firefighter and my daughter loves it. But it has to have context, it has to have a place in your life. And I think I found that now. And found that kind of grounding as such to be able to go, okay, there's only so much I'm going to give this job. I know how much that is now. So I didn't want to have a pacemaker to get to that point, but that's where I've ended up. So,
dude, that is an incredible place to arrive. Yeah. Absolutely love that, mate. I know we've tried for a little while to get this conversation together, so I'm really, really glad we were able to nail it. Has it been 4 years? Holy shit, the bed.
Yeah, I think we first spoke when I was doing my recruit course. Yeah, when I was down in Rotorua doing my recruit course.
Well, that's some insight for people. It takes ages sometimes to get them together.
It does. You're a busy man. While we're at it, I just want to say while we're recording, thank you for what you're doing. I think you and your team and this podcast has reached thousands of people around the world, and it's having such a dramatic effect that I don't think you even realize. I was in a meeting the other day, and the information that I learned from your podcast, I spoke about in that meeting with some very high up people, and they didn't know about it. And I didn't know about it till I heard it from your show. And it's something that it was about liquid CO2, about cleaning level 2 gear. And it was something I learned from this show, and it was something that I picked to the meeting. It's something that hopefully they will learn about. The same goes for SNOMED codes. I learned that from you and from Mr. Burns.
Early on me. I'll put them. They were John and Robbie.
Yeah, and from that, I'm now having a chat with the union, trying to get that changed here. So the information and the platform you're using to do this is changing fire services around the world that you may even not even know about. So I just want to say thank you for that, because it is just...
No pressure.
I can imagine it takes a lot of effort that we don't see or listen to as guests and as people, but you and your team are doing an amazing work, and so please do not stop or find some way to manage it. But it's just the guests that you have on here are amazing. Really are.
I really appreciate that, mate. And I resisted my typical habit of interrupting there, but I'm obviously going to pass all of that on to everybody else and say, the podcast is a thing I wish existed when I joined. I always think of it as crowdsourcing knowledge. When I first joined, the subject matter expert in the organization was the person that knew one more thing than everybody else and didn't want to tell anybody. And they would lord it over you. And I'm like,
exactly.
Don't do that. Like, and every firefighter, well, everyone would run a different podcast, but every firefighter could certainly run one. Certainly you. I mean, Jesus Christ, the experiences you've had, the people you've met, the knowledge that it will be lost. It'll be lost because you'll forget it. They'll forget it. They'll retire. No one will know. I'm like, I want that to live in some capacity so that future generations, they'll love some of it. They'll hate some of it. They'll hate me. They'll hate you. They'll love someone. But if there's a nugget in the forest somewhere of the stuff we've put out,
It
Take it.
is literally has been amazing. I've listened from like day one, and I've listened to every episode that you've put out. And so when I used to go on training courses up at different colleges that I've been to, I'd always take a hard drive. It used to be a flash drive, and then it was a big hard drive. And we'd go in and we'd do lectures, and I'd literally steal everything off everyone. So I've got lectures from Gatwick Airport. I've got lectures
I think
from
you sent me a
Lancashire.
few in the past, haven't you?
Yeah.
I know you
And
have,
we'd go in and we'd hoard all this information because no one would let you have it. We'd hold it all. But what you're doing is a digital, live, online hard drive, which we've been doing for 20 years. And you've just done it in a more modern way, more acceptable, more accessible. And it's great. I've recently become a patron of yours, and the information you have in there is just... I opened it up the other day.
We need to organise it properly, but there's so much more that still needs to go on there.
There's so much in there. I was like, literally, I stayed up till like 1 a.m, and I was reading documents that people have put in, and I was like, this is gold. Like, it's just amazing. So, yeah, it's a phenomenal
Appreciate that, mate.
resource.
It always feels a cringe to say that myself, but we try and just leave just put it all out there.
No one likes getting, being praised. We're all a bit weird and very English, but it literally is an amazing thing that you're doing, and you've I listened to the first one about 6 weeks ago. I went back and listened to that, and I was like, it's changed. How it's changed.
It was a banger. Oh yeah, it's changed. I listened back to some of the first stuff, and I started a bit DJ radio BS, and I'm like, oh, it's cringy, but also just try and be yourself. It makes me laugh when people, not laugh, like that sounds condescending, but when people try and be what other people want them to be, and they're not sure, and they try and aim for more authenticity, and you can't, there's no one to beat when you're just trying to be yourself.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? That's the best way to escape competition, is just be yourself, because nobody can beat you at that. Nobody can best you at being your most authentic self, and don't worry about it. And then the people that don't like you, that's fine, because they'll know who you really are. There's nothing worse than somebody liking you for somebody you're not.
Exactly. Yeah.
I heard someone the other day saying, like, I get scared of having to live up in public to the person that I'm not even privately. And that's the thing with the podcast. I never try and present myself as a subject matter expert. I'm just accumulation of hundreds of conversations of bits of information. And this should be learning out loud. It should be a safe place to fail and get stuff wrong. And we'll have both probably misquoted something 20 times during this conversation. But it's the general learning that I always say, like, I think it's a Maya Angelou one. They'll forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And I want this to be a safe space where you go, oh my God. I mean, I don't know if Matt was even a firefighter. I know he is, just for everybody's benefit. But it's like the things you heard and the experiences that person had and the life that they had, whether that will inspire so many people that, and we'll put a contact detail for people that want to reach out, put a contact, and they'll go, dude, I want to do the things that you did. And you'll go, well, it sounds good looking back on it, but I was kind of like winging it all the way. Yeah, but you've left breadcrumbs.
Every day.
So someone that doesn't know how to go from here to there. Oh, mate. So I've got friends in my service, husband and wife, 2 kids, and they did a 1-year secondment job switch with a firefighter in New Zealand.
Yep.
Very rare now. Very rare for people to be able to get that to work. But
not
I'm sure,
as rare as you think.
Well, that's just the thing. And it's something I would love to speak to you about on a private conversation. Yeah, it's like, how do me and my missus get out there for a
program
year?
at the moment. Someone has just literally come back from Canada, and they've done a swap for 12 months between New Zealand and Canada. And they've literally come back only maybe 6 weeks ago.
Do they do house swap as well sometimes, don't they?
Everything gets swapped. The house, the job. You get paid in your home currency. So they got paid in New Zealand dollars. Swapped houses, look after the cat, dog, whatever. And so the firefighting exchange is still going on and still a thing. It's just trying to get services to line up and marry up. It's
in
still
terms of competencies and things and stuff.
A little bit
Making
niggly,
sure it's a like for like. But if you want it enough, you'll get it.
Exactly. There's ways around things. So it's still a doable thing. So very much. I know lots of firefighters
because I do want I do want to talk about it.
UK. Yeah, definitely.
Right. I don't know, what time is it there?
So over here it is 5 to 11 at night.
My good Lord. I apologize if we've made anybody awake.
Friday. Because we're a day ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
No, everyone's asleep. My wife's in Queenstown at the moment, so you're all good.
Well, look,
so
send my love to absolutely everybody. I can't believe it's been 4 years, mate, but I really, really appreciate your ongoing efforts. I really, really appreciate your ongoing support. We've had loads of little back and forths, and I'm in this for the long game. So I really appreciate your patience, because some people would have gone, F it, the guy's not interested, he thinks he's better than me, or whatever. I tell myself these horrible stories when I fail to get back to people. I'm like, oh God, I hope they don't think I'm rude. I hope they don't think... I'm just a bit of a walking bin fire with my life sometimes in organising stuff. But
no, it's been a privilege to sit here and have a yarn with you and look at that big head of yours. And good luck for surgery, and please keep doing what you're doing. Find a way just to keep soldiering on, because it is amazing work that you're doing. And thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters Podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, live with intention, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.